Welcome to the Place Brand Leaders podcast of the Place Brand Observer. Today again from home, and if you hear any background noise from a baby, then that's our little newborn who wants to say hello. So, of course, it's exciting times for us here at home and probably also for you as we see the many restrictions of the pandemic lifted, at least here in Switzerland. Life looks pretty much back to normal, which is great. And good news for tourism, and especially those countries and regions and destinations which really depend on a healthy tourism economy. This episode I'd like to dedicate to two countries which have inspired me a lot over the last years and which I find fascinating. So let's talk about New Zealand and Costa Rica. Both New Zealand and Costa Rica are known for their beautiful natural environments and as such are really popular tourist destinations, especially among travelers interested in ecotourism and adventure tourism. But also both of them have established themselves internationally as strong advocates for good care of our planet, giving them considerable soft power in this area, despite the comparatively small size, you could say, of both of them and the limited hard power. Costa Rica doesn't even have a military, as far as I know. And what I find especially remarkable from a country branding point of view is how both countries have managed to establish a brand promise around values of sustainability, which you might know I care a lot about, which can be applied to many industries nowadays. In the case of New Zealand, there are massive economic benefits for its food exporting, not just apples or kiwi fruit, but also dairy produce and meat and so many other things now. This doesn't mean that Costa Rica or New Zealand are free of social struggle or environmental issues. So, of course, those exist as well. And I remember from my time in New Zealand that methane from the many cows was a concern, for example, as well as freshwater issues due to effluent flowing into it. So it's always about striking a balance between protecting the natural environment and being economically successful as well. But more and more we're seeing business models emerging which combine both. And this is really, this really inspires me. The real achievement and the key to success in place brand management is to bring the most relevant stakeholders together around a key theme, which is not just the logo or not just used for graphic design or an ad campaign, but also informs policy making and how the country as a whole shows itself to the world and to potential visitors, investors, and skilled workers. And both New Zealand and Costa Rica have done this very well, and I really invite you to find out more about the process of each country's branding initiatives in our interviews with Daniel Valverde, the director of Costa Rica's country branding team, and Rebecca Smith, who's the director of the New Zealand story. My favorite quote from the interview with Daniel is that it is important to emphasize that whether it's placemaking, place marketing, or place branding, working to achieve sustainable development must be done within a strategy that includes ties with politicians, businesses, and citizen stakeholders. He thinks that it should also emphasize the public policies that have proven to be a flagship for the country in terms of sustainability over the years. And Costa Rica really does it well. So they really walk the talk. And this is what place branding has to be about. I mean, the years are over where you could just promote how great you are or impress the world by nice images. I think we all need to see action, and if the action aligns with the brand proposition, then you have a winner. And I really like this quote from Rebecca, who said, country of origin in our case has over time become less about the functional attributes of our country, so like the land, water and air, and more about emotional trust and consumer that a consumer has in the products, services, and people who originate from our nation. So morality, transparency, and integrity are more important to a consumer, and these attributes transfer to trust in what you produce. So again, it's about identity, integrity, authenticity, and less about just claiming that you're the greatest in anything. So, of course, Costa Rica and New Zealand are only two examples of locations, like city regions and countries around the world, which have found ways to considerably contribute to their economy's competitive edge through smart place brand management. And you'll find many more examples and the whole toolbox needed to succeed with place branding in my new book, which just came out, called An Insider's Guide to Place Branding, published by Springer International. And I think you will especially like this professional guidebook because it presents a unique collection of expert interviews combined with latest research insights and thoughts on the most relevant topics, according to our panel of experts, which we convene around every 2-3 months. And in there you will find trends linked to the reputation, brand development and management of cities, regions, but also countries and destinations. So during my master's and doctoral studies, I always wished there were books which offered a combination of inspiring personal stories and reflections of the key persons in the subject area, so I could get to know their views, approaches and learnings, and not just read their names in a literature review. And so just to make it easier to put their thinking in context as well. And a book that would at the same time contain essential know-how on the topic at hand, so that you have everything in one book. So that's what I try to achieve with An Insider's Guide to Place Branding. And of course, I hope that you like it and that it helps you understand and succeed with place branding. And I will tell you more about the book and specific chapters in future episode of this podcast, including keys to place branding success and how place branding can contribute to a better world. I also invite you to follow the Place Brand Observer via our email newsletter, or on LinkedIn is a very good channel to follow us. We always publish new content there. A little bit less on Twitter or Facebook, but we're still active on both of those platforms as well. And you will find links to our social media profiles on the website. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to any feedback or ideas that you have or would like to share, also on Costa Rica or New Zealand.